for most of you on LinkedIn, or extra good morning to some of you who are tuning in America. It's a random live as usual for me. Excuse the background. I couldn't get the blur to work, so you can have to put up with my tea bags in the corner. Yeah, sorry, that's the way I roll. So I'll go straight into it. Stop using the word introvert. As I explained, excuse me, I might have a bit of a cold. I'll try my best, but as I explained in the notes, I read another article, started to read another article on introvert because I wanted to plan out what I was going to write tonight or publish tonight for Empathy Leadership magazine. So just a quick note, I have I have decided to publish daily again because I've got a better framework using the power of generative AI. I do change my frameworks a lot because I get a lot of experimentation and good data analysis from using different frameworks, as we all do in business. But when you're trying to grow your magazine, and it's so difficult now to go viral on LinkedIn from a publication perspective. Now, it doesn't mean I'll give you a backstory about why I changed my frameworks before I get into the conversation of introvert. I'm trying to grow Empathy Leader magazine, not just because I want more subscribers, but the actual research behind it, which is me, the relationship of mental well-being and emotional intelligence is what I've looked at for the last 5 years, and mainly independent research and my own lived experience through living with non-epileptic attack disorder. So, and that's why I'm passionate about growing Healthy Secrets, which is it's it's starting out as a health and fitness brand. Whether it stays that way, how it unfolds, I don't know. Um, you never know when you got product market fit, and that's always difficult. And on the one hand, I feel like I'm a solo entrepreneur. On the other hand, I feel like I'm a good thought leader. I don't go live so much these days. I slowed it down because thought I was going live too much. So I'm here with you today. Hopefully, not going to bore you to death, but I might not be able to inspire you. You have to leave that, but I might give you something to think about at least. So I say cheers to you. Good morning. Hope you got a tea or coffee and you're ready to go. The word introvert. Why do I think we should stop using the word introvert? I think for me, I'm a former teacher and I had shy students. I was a shy student when I was young. I grew up in a town in Dagenham, and it was hard for me. It was back in the late 80s. I had a lot of problems, racism, etc. Lots of different stuff going on. And your childhood can define you into either that confident or unconfident person. But I've learned through time, counseling, emotional intelligence, research, we can increase and change who we are. We can become more confident. It doesn't mean that we're super confident. And sometimes there is that debate around when you go into a business meeting, the introverts don't win, the extroverts always win because they're more confident. Then there's the argument of no, it's the leader who holds the meeting. So you need to be in control and let everybody speak. Excuse me, that's not always possible because you've got, especially now, a lot of companies are not going for growth. It's deglobalization. What that means is that because we've got two wars in Ukraine, two wars going on in Europe, cost of living crisis, other factors, even the world's biggest companies have cut back, including here on LinkedIn. And this all contributes, it affects both, some of you called it introverts and extroverts. It affects us, how we perform in work, what we do, and the type of leadership that happens, because we know that if you're under stress, you won't perform as high as a leader. But I think when you put in labels to people, and yes, there's a lot of academic research behind this, has been for many years, but it's like there is a lot of truth in the term mental health, and we've overused that. That can increase your anxiety, yes. And as much as the word introvert, if you keep using it in the office, I'm an introvert, if you say it consciously to yourself, then you will probably do more harm than good to your own, I would argue, from my own lived experience and research as well, that you will evidently, yeah, you'll stay more in a negative zone. Not always, and we're all different in that regards. But if we stop using the word introvert and we say to ourselves, you know what, I'm going to make a difference today. Not every day, not everyone wakes up every day and thinks, you know, I'm an introvert, I'm an introvert. But the more we write about it, and I'm speaking about it today because I'm open about it, the more we write about it in the big publications, HBR, I don't think we're doing much good. I think we're doing the reverse. I think we're causing more pain than good. Um, you know, it's a difficult one because equally a lot of people do label themselves, and labels are not good. They're terms. There might be sound academic strength behind it, but in the real world, up here, where it really matters and how we live our daily lives, it affects our performance. Because if I consciously say to myself, I'm an introvert, I'm not very good, um, that will have a negative impact. I mean, I've just passed my level 3 counselling skills. Hopefully in September, I can move on and do my level 4, which takes a couple of years. Now, in a long distant future, when I do a sideline as a counsellor, I may have clients come to me and say, I'm an introvert or an extrovert. Either way, an introvert more so, because they may have a confidence problem they feel because they've renamed themselves that, which is kind of on the borderlines of emotional learning and relearning, where we look at our lives in a subjective way. And I say, maybe I've been through a bad experience, which is the real world. Traumatic events do impact our mental well-being or our mental health. We can overchange that. I've done that myself through counselling, independent, you know, just getting better at recognizing my thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, increasing my emotional intelligence through exercise, self awareness, you know, getting to understand myself more, spending time uh, more alone, but also trying to figure out what the best way forward is. And we're all trying to do that, which is really good. But equally, coming back to the argument why we should stop using the word introvert, it's because I feel my argument is that same word with the mental health, and there's proven research on this. When we overuse mental health, we can increase our anxiety. And that's dangerous because for two reasons. Number one, we're not, in my independent research, we're not all trained in mental well-being and mental health, self-help. I don't mean go to a bookstore and buy a self-help book. That's not going to help you consciously. You might think it will, but long term, you're still left with your thoughts. So the reason why we go to GPs and counsellors is because we feel we need help. So we do that. We pick up the phone. We say we're stressed. We either get signed off, we either get prescribed antidepressants very quickly, sadly, or maybe we choose option C, get a referral, which you can do in the UK to, I think it's Health in Mind, a great service, and you go down the counselling route, which is 6 weeks maximum. You can't fix your life in 6 weeks, but it's something that's better than nothing. And I've done it myself through when I've hit difficult times. And now I'm on the road to becoming a fully qualified counsellor. It's kind of dilemma because I live with a complex condition, but that complex condition has helped me shape me into my mental well-being. I would never say I'm an introvert. Okay, I know I'm going deep and long here, but bear with me. An introvert is somebody maybe, and you can look up the loads of definitions, but if you feel you're not confident, that's okay, because every human doesn't have to be confident at every second of their life. That's just life learning. If I were teaching some students today on increasing their confidence in life, let's say it's a life skill, and I've got a group of 18 to 34-year-olds, or even teaching adults, which they are adults, but I'm talking about my age, 45 plus. I would say, look, we get to experience a lot in life. And in my one of my very first counseling sessions I had, where I really needed help, she said to me, Steve, you get to choose in life at what age you want to do different things. So when you're 30, you'll change your mind. When you're 20, you'll do different things. You get to make that choice. Sometimes, obviously, difficult circumstances, especially those suffering in other parts of the world through poverty and war, etc., is different. But most of us, I say most, some of us can make a choice how we live our life. So if you consciously say to yourself, you're not confident, you may not be confident. And I think I'd argue, no disrespect to Tony Robbins, it takes more than a Tony Robbins course to change your life and change your story that he preaches. Okay, I'm not saying his research is wrong, because it's pretty solid, but what I am saying is that it takes more than going to one event, one 2 or 3 day event to change your life. It's on you. Okay, it can change your life, but it's becoming an introvert and saying to yourself, I'm not confident, and stepping out of your comfort zone to becoming someone different. Okay, I won't use the words where people feel become your ultimate self, be the person you want to be. It's very gimmicky and it's not reality, because what I found in my personal journey is we don't know what's around the corner, that's for sure. And your stress and anxiety levels, somebody lives with a very complex condition, which is very close to PTSD. Your emotions can be hidden, okay, your unconscious bias, some of you call it. But I would argue, look, to wake up every single day, first be thankful that you've got a roof over your head, you've got food in the cupboard, and maybe a cup of tea and some warm clothing. I'm trying to shake off a little cold I've got, but I think that's more important. That's helped me live better. And I think going back when I was in school, yes, I was an introvert. We're all introverts, maybe, when we're at school, because we're young, we're quiet, we're shy. Some of us were loud. Maybe we could class ourselves as extroverts, but we're still learning up until the age of 18, per se. We can change our life, we can change our story, but that works in different ways, because sometimes we get a phone call, literally get a phone call, hello, yeah, and then something bad happens, and then something, oh, you know what? I just had some bad news. My aunt's in hospital. Now, similar to when, and I'll use this strong example, which I've looked at before with PTSD. We can train soldiers to go to war, okay, mentally and physically. What we can't do at the moment, there's no real proven research to say that we can, is completely safeguard that brain, that soldier's brain, from suffering from PTSD, because there's no magic system formula in training to say, and I'm a former British Army reservist, I've been through recruit training, I know how it works. When you go on operations, I haven't been on operations, but I know the training side. There's no way to safeguard your brain from PTSD. There isn't, it's not there. You can't, you can take a civilian from the street, train him in 13 weeks in the British Army, send him off to war, as it were, or an operation. He'll serve, he might have to use his rifle and take a life. That's going to impact him. PTSD doesn't hit everybody, it's very varied. Some people walk away from operations quite well. There's still scars in the brain, but they're not affecting their mental well-being. We don't quite know why that is. I think if you go into it, there's more studies to reveal that, and I invite you to go and carry your own research. But for somebody that lives with a very similar condition to PTSD, and coming back to the word introvert, it doesn't help us. So the new campaign is to stop using it for your own conscious being self. So really this talk is about trying to champion you to live a better life for sure. Because indeed, like my magazine says, empathy leadership is not just about you leading the business. It's about having empathy for yourself to say, you know what, I don't feel confident today. That's okay. I'm not going to label myself as an introvert. Maybe what I am going to do is write down all my fears on a bit of paper, which is proven to help people heal, healing through writing, and healing through singing. This is a singing mic, by the way. So there's good avenues for us to increase our mental well-being, have more empathy for ourselves if we stop using certain words. Now, life is complicated and it's not always easy as that. I appreciate that. And each one of us are going to have to make a decision about what words we use in our lives. Now, when you've finished watching this video, please do share it in your network if you found it useful. I do apologize. The reason why I don't do planned lives is because I don't know the emotions I'm feeling and of others. So that's why I do random lives. There is a science behind that. And that's okay with me because, on the one hand, like for instance, and this is like a kind of a sideline, I wanted to go live every day. I did do for a little while, but then I found that it annoyed people. Well, I felt it did because they were unfollowing me. It doesn't affect my confidence because I'm still getting the message out. But similar, I want to be fair to people and I don't want to disrupt people. So, and I think when you look about the words introvert and extrovert, it's confidence really. And being a former teacher and a British Army soldier or a reservist as it were, and gone through a lot in my life, I've learned that confidence levels can increase and decrease like that. Okay, really quick. And you have to decide to yourself how you master that. I've learned to do that myself through emotional intelligence. So I'm very self-aware of my condition. I'm very self-aware of my confidence levels. And certainly growing all the little brands that I've got is difficult because I don't really take richness for money. I'm trying to set up my revenue models. It's taken me time to course build, and now I'm looking for a sponsor for my magazine, Empathy Leadership. It's early days, as they say, but if I was an introvert and said to myself, "That's too much for me," and sometimes I do say that to myself. I say, "Crikey, Steve, you've built something good, but it's taken longer. It's taken longer to monetize." It's not a headache because I'm in a situation where my health permits me from taking most jobs because of my epilepsy and other conditions I have. And I feel that's a good path because, like the word faith, and I'm in faith, I'm a born again Christian, but most of us don't have that where we don't have trust. And I think when you talk about yourself not to be confident or an introvert, our mental well-being can suffer significantly, like I said. So to try and wrap up and close off, because I've spoke for 20 minutes now, which is more than what I wanted to do. I feel, and I say I feel because I'm only talking from my perspective. You have to decide how you feel about the words introvert and extrovert. I can't say to you as an introvert expert, which I'm not. I don't think anybody is because we're all living our lives. And as well as I love academia, I think sometimes you rely too much on the text and not enough on actual living. And I think that's why I prefer to call myself a lived experience thought leader. I don't have a PhD. Yes, I've got a degree. Yes, I'm well educated, but I read loads of studies and articles, etc., like most of us. But I know from my own emotions and what I live with and what I'm going through and my past and also the future. The future, I still feel positive because I wouldn't argue that I'm an introvert by no means at all, and I don't like using the word at all, but it's out there. And like mental health, which is an even bigger word, mental health is real. It's serious. It impacts our lives. People die from it. If they go to depression, they might take their life. Suicide is up, and I'm trying to on a mission to try and lower that. It's difficult. It's hard, but the more we are in tune with reality, what is out there at the world. I can't stop the war in Ukraine, for example. Now, does that impact me as an introvert and extrovert? Of course it does. But I think we're using too many word terminologies to, kind of reshape the way we think. And what we should be doing is recognizing our own emotions. So I'll leave the rest to you to think about what you want to, how you look at introvert and extrovert. And I'll turn this, I'm going to use generative AI to turn this video into an article. That's my new framework. I've been using different framework, as I said at the start of this podcast talk. And I hope you found it interesting. If you did, share it and like it because it might help somebody. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but I like sharing my open opinion and thought leadership about the way we look at life. And I think that's the real terminology we're looking at here. It's not he's this or she's that. It's the way that you're looking at your own subjective life. That's what really matters because I could be in Wembley Stadium giving a big lecture like this, and loads of people could either clap or boo me off the stage, whatever talk it is. But at the end of the day, as I've always said in my social media, it's you that's left with what thoughts you got up here. You have to process that because when things go bad and you get a bad phone call, you have to process that. Whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, and you like using those terms or not, that doesn't really matter. Okay, it's how you process your thoughts, and that's your well-being, which we can all teach each other how to increase that. But you have to live your life, as it were. Anyway, I'm going to sign off and say thank you, and I'll be releasing this article tonight. Goodbye, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the talk. Feedback welcome. If you haven't followed me before, you're welcome to follow me, connect, and let's talk about empathy leadership. Thank you.